The other day I do star lapses, so I'd put like this camera, the Sony A7 III, or I've done it with this one too. I put like one of the little cameras up and just do a star lapse. So I'm out there, I put the camera up, I'm looking up to make sure I try to find a star so that I can focus like this camera on, so that way that everything's in focus. I look up and I notice there's a line of lights going across the sky, and it's not a plane, and I couldn't figure out what it was at first. So then I just threw it out on Twitter, and I actually asked. There's a guy who does. He's very good at. Very good skeptic. Very good. I hate to say good at debunking things, but I mean that's sort of what he does on Twitter a lot. And he was like, "Oh, that might be Starlink, which is the grouping of satellites across the globe to give internet access via satellite, so you don't have to worry about wires or something like that. And it's really easy to set up in a relatively easy to set up in a anywhere basically that you have a good view of the sky. You have this little device, you set it up, and then you can use the internet off of it. That's about as much as I know about it. But what this is the way the satellites work, or the way the satellites find their position, I think. I forget. I remember seeing it and thinking, that's great, crazy, because they call it a Starlink Train. And that's the words that he used, Starlink Train. So I googled Starlink Train and I found it, and it's exactly what I saw. So let's take a look at the video real quick, because it's only like 10 seconds. Now, on this, you'll see the line go across, and it moved like that from the northwest to the southeast in the whole. I stood out there almost the entire time. It was probably about 10 minutes or so. Now, a lot of times if I'm sitting outside and I'm just looking at the stars, you'll see satellites move. So you'll see a tiny star. It looks like a star, but then it starts moving. Or you'll see it and then you'll see it move across, and it's like, oh, that's a satellite. Or it's the International Space Station. The International Space Station is just a little bit bigger, but it's really it's fascinating how you can see them, because like in this case the Starlink satellites are 270 something miles above the surface of the earth, so you can see something that far away that's basically in space, and it goes across and you can see it. That's insane. That's just amazing. So now what I've done now, and I looked it up, there's a website that'll tell you, like with the IIS too, it'll tell you when it'll be viewable where you're at. So I've gone on there, and of course, like the next few weeks, it's all low, dim. So I'll wait for another one. I'll probably do it like with a big camera and actually view it and set it up and watch it that way. But I learned something new. I didn't know that I did that, and it's crazy because I thought maybe it was a meteorite, but it was really uniform. Though, if you look at that, you see the footage. It was uniform. I thought maybe it was a meteorite or a falling star, something along those lines. But apparently, it's a pretty regular occurrence now. Whether it's a good or bad thing, that's another issue for somebody else. But I just thought it was really interesting. I videoed it because I just put up my phone, and I was like, of course I had this camera, my good camera. I didn't have a long lens on it. I had my wide lens because I was already doing a star lapse. But I was able to at least film it with this. So hopefully there'll be a next time, and hopefully I'll just get it on my big lens.